Hello and welcome to the Automotive Marketing Platform, or AMP, how to reach today's buyers through automatic intelligent marketing. My name is Brent Whetton. I'll be hosting your webinar today. I'm here with Tom Niejadlik. He's a performance advisor for VinSolutions. Tom lives in Portland, Maine. Doesn't really have the accent that I was expecting. I was a little disappointed, I can just tell you right now. But Tom he lives there with his wife and two boys. He's been with VinSolutions for 6 years. And I can tell you one of the things that Tom loves about his job, being previously at a dealership, at a Volvo dealership. Tom loves helping our clients grow their business and to really increase their ability to grow their business. So with that, I think we'll just turn it right over to Tom, if you're okay with that, and we'll get started with the webinar.
Thanks, Brent. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining me. I should say good morning for you West Coasters, but it is I'm on the East Coast here, and 2 o'clock on the nose. My name's Tom Niejadlik, and if you were wondering, that's pronounced Niejadlik. I always get a hard time about that last name. And yes, as Brent said, I'm a senior performance manager with VinSolutions, and I've been doing this for 6 years. So we'll get right into it. Today, we're going to talk about our latest marketing solution that we introduced earlier this year, Automotive Marketing Platform. We call it AMP. Before we get started, just mentioning this is going to be recorded and made available to you afterwards. And we're also going to be taking some questions throughout the webinar. So if you've got questions, just put them in the chat, and Brent will let me know.
Actually, let me change that a little bit. Instead of putting them in the chat, if you'd put them in the questions pane, that's what I'll be monitoring. So if that's okay with you, Tom?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. So here's our agenda for today. We're going to talk about why you should consider this solution. We'll discuss what AMP is and what it does, how you can monitor your marketing efforts through AMP, and finally, what we have planned for the future of AMP. So my hope today is that you leave this webinar with not only a better understanding of what we can do to help improve your marketing, but also the effectiveness or ineffectiveness of your current marketing efforts. So I'm going to have a little fun here, and before I get into AMP, I want to paint a little picture, and I'm going to do a little bit of role playing. I'm going to play the performance manager and also the dealer. So these are conversations that performance managers have all the time with their dealers. So Mr. Dealer, which customers would you like to target with this campaign? How about everyone in our database with an email? Of course, why not? Sure. Well, if this is the way that you're thinking about your marketing, then this is the opposite of targeted marketing. If your goal is to increase the unsubscribe rate, then this is exactly what you want. Okay, what would you like to send them? Let's grab some specials off our website. I'll screenshot it and send it to you. Sure. Or even worse, how about a scanned newspaper ad, a PDF of a newspaper ad that you put into VinSolutions and you market that out. Believe it or not, some people are still advertising in newspaper, and I can guarantee you that 1 or 2 of you are probably on this call. How about we set up a call task for the team to make after the campaign launches? Nah, the customer's serious, they'll call us. We put our phone number on that ad. Sure, most often, the results that we see have little to no follow-up in VinSolutions. Dealers just launch these campaigns and let it ride. They hope that it's going to drive some business. I'm going to switch roles for a second and start off as the dealer. If we send this today, we should have tons of traffic for our weekend sale, right? Yeah, it's Friday at noontime. So I think every VinSolutions performance manager gets at least one call a year from a dealer the day before Thanksgiving. Let's send out this Black Friday campaign so that it gets mixed in with 300 other Black Friday emails that the customer is going to get. I wouldn't really call any of these best practices. So I hope everybody gets a little bit of a chuckle here. And yes, those are two actual examples of templates that were sent out as email campaigns through VinSolutions. One of them is as recently as this month, and names have been blurred out, so not to embarrass anyone. The leftovers one is a personal favorite of mine. It's just so awesome. I just had to show everybody. I love this little section right here that says click the containers, because that's gonna call to action and get people to want to buy a car from you. So pretend you're a customer for a second, and how would you respond to an email like this? Does it give you a compelling reason to reach out and buy a car from this dealership? So we're talking about these scenarios because each one of them can damage your customer database, they can hurt your online reputation, and they can make it harder for you to communicate with your customers. Not all marketing is good marketing. I like that slide. Let's take a look back at early 2020. Was quite the year for everyone. I've been stuck in the home office for a year and a half now, so I'm looking forward to getting back out on the road. But dealerships, you guys had to adapt to a new normal. Operating efficiencies was a popular term, doing more with less. And through it all, a large portion of you had a very, very successful year, despite all of those challenges. Your customers also had to adapt. Think about this: virtual test drives, remote deliveries, digital retailing, lots of changes. So what did dealerships do to adapt their marketing in 2020? I'll tell you what they did. You sent a record number of emails to your customers. You're changing showroom hours, your COVID precautions and procedures. Do you think your customers really needed to know that you were sanitizing your showrooms every night? Were you not sanitizing your showrooms before? I mean, that's how I would think of that. I can tell you what we saw at VinSolutions. We saw an all-time record of campaign emails sent in April 2020. Guess what happened in May 2020? We saw an all-time record of email opt-out. Let me ask you, or ask yourself, did your marketing in 2020 help your business or hurt your business? Let's adapt and update the way we communicate and market to our customers. Let's use data to make better marketing decisions. That's the goal of this product in a nutshell. Everybody still with me?
Hey, Tom, we have one question.
Go for it, Brent.
I'm assuming it comes from someone in Canada because they're asking if this is available in Canada.
Technically available, but not recommended. There's a lot of holes in the product that don't work yet with the Canadian market. So you're not going to see anybody trying to sell this to you. Would it work technically? But no. Our suggestion is let's wait. It is on the roadmap, and it will come eventually. But we're working on things like equity and biweekly payments, and that stuff's just not in it just yet.
I assume there will be some type of a release that will let people know when it is available in Canada.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll hear from the sales department when it is available. We don't really have any ETA on that, but it is on the roadmap.
Perfect. Thank you.
So what is AMP? This could be a tough one. In fact, it took me quite a while to put a description together that would work for everyone. And it's because it's a really complex piece of software that we designed. But I don't want to give an over techie computer nerd description of what this thing does. I want to present it to you in a normal language that everybody can understand. There will be bits and pieces of the techie stuff, and some of you will need to see that in order to better grasp the product. I needed to see all the back end stuff, so I understand that. But for now, we all agree that we need to market to our customers. But with everything that I just showed you and everything that we just went over, do we really know how, and are we aware of the do's and the don'ts? You guys sell and service cars and do a great job at it. You're not all expected to be marketing experts. Those are some of the issues that AMP will tackle for you. So who are these people? Well, we don't know, and that's a problem. If you blast, and use that term all the time, email blast, all your customers with the same generic marketing message, then you aren't identifying your customers. You're not identifying these buyers. AMP takes the guessing game out of your marketing. Simplest terms, we take all of your CRM and DMS data, think all sales and service history, and we combine that with the online browsing histories of your customers to put a face on these individuals. Once we've identified who that customer is and where they might be in the buying cycle, we deliver up a personalized, intelligent marketing message, the right message at the right time to the right buyers. One thing we hear from our dealers is that they wish the processes in our CRM were more intelligent. If the customer does this, then this is the next step in the process. Our CRM processes aren't quite there yet, but that's exactly what we built into AMP. Not only is the marketing message more relevant, but the follow-up becomes more intelligent. You as a dealer can decide when and how you want the salesperson or any user at the dealership to follow up. AMP passes that along to the CRM in the form of an AMP task. It's going to literally shout out to that user, hey, look at this customer. We sent them an email, they clicked into it 3 times, they went onto our website. Now would be an ideal time to reach out and do follow-up with that customer. So the right message at the right time to the right buyers, now you're doing follow-up at the right time. Our goal is that this improved marketing will drive engagement in your stores with your customers and make your sales staff work more efficiently. How we doing, Brent? Any questions?
None since the Canada question. We do have a comment. Somebody says, "I see, thank you." That actually was in response to a question that I could answer. So nothing yet. We do have a hand raised. Let me see if I can figure out who that is. So Ernest and David, if you have questions, if you would put them in the chat window, that would probably be the best way to get those questions answered. That's it. Go ahead.
So I hope most of you know what Plinko is on The Price is Right. I'm a big fan of that show. And you're thinking, why is there a Plinko photo in this presentation? Where could he possibly be going with this one? So I forget who on our team made the analogy, but it's a really great way for you to visualize what's going on behind the scenes in AMP. You'll see this slide again and it'll make more sense, I promise. So what's inside? What's behind the scenes? So here's where it might start to get a little bit techie, but not too much. I'm going to try to keep it pretty normal. AMP is made up of these 3 sections: segments, templates, and campaigns. Segments, we start you off with over 40 pre-built contact segments on unique customer sales and service scenarios, and you have the ability to create as many custom segments as you want. These are the people that you're going to be marketing to. Templates, this is the body of the email. We build you a high quality, creative piece using OEM colors, fonts, and graphics. And AMP has a dedicated graphic design team that can handle most custom requests. Finally, campaigns. This is a series of if this, then that statements. Say that 5 times fast. If this, then that statements built out for each segment. Automated and programmable decisions that control communications and tell your users when to engage. We call it the decision tree. So we're going to take a closer look at those 3 sections of AMP. And keep in mind, what I'm showing you is all the back end of the tool. I'm showing it to you so you have a better idea of how it works, but ultimately, you don't have to worry about this. I haven't mentioned this yet, but with AMP, you'll have an account manager to handle all of the setup and all of the programming every month. We'll talk about their role in a little bit. Your segments are the different buckets that your customers can fall into. and AMP will market to those customers with a very specific message. Here's a closer view of two segments that I picked, buying signals browsing and buying signals ready to buy. And to the right of that, you can see exactly how many customers fell into that bucket. Some other examples of segments, you could probably guess some of these, but things like no contact in the last 7 days, lease coming due, sold no service, upcoming service appointment, and desirable vehicle with equity. Yes, the system also does equity mining. So the second section that makes up AMP is, excuse me, I take that back. In the previous screen, you saw two buying signal segments. And some of you might be asking what a buying signal is. Well, this is a screenshot from our automotive intelligence dashboard. And I put it up here so you can visualize what a buying signal is if you're not familiar. And a lot of you out there probably tried AI on at one point in time, or you still have it. But it's another program that we offer, and it's powered by these buying signals. We track your customers on Cox Automotive websites and develop a prediction of how likely they are to buy. And you can see right here in this particular example, 845 actively shopping and 1,009 customers that are browsing. You don't need to subscribe to AI in order to use this data. AMP uses this data to create additional segments to market to. They actually happen to be some of the most successful segments that we are campaigning to at this point in time. You won't have this same view of AI unless you subscribe to it, but don't worry about it. We'll be putting that data to work for you. AI determines the readiness to buy, and then AMP markets to those customers. So we're still talking about segments at this point in time. This is going to allow the dealer to proactively reach out to in-market shoppers before they even submit a lead. Think about what I just said for a second. You've got customers that are in your CRM. We're able to identify where they are in the buying cycle, even if it's a lost customer from a year or 2 years ago. If we see that they're back in the market and they're shopping for a car, this system is going to pick that up and it's going to deliver a specific marketing message to that customer. Here's how a user would view an AMP task in the CRM. It also happens to show the cycle and the relationship between AI and AMP. But I'll walk you through this here. You can see this customer fired off a buying signal, which alerted the salesperson, but AMP took over and sent out a specific marketing message that this dealer happened to choose. So if this was a customer that was ready to buy, this was the marketing message that AMP delivered. And then it turned around and fired an AMP task back into the CRM for the user, suggesting that they reach out and call that customer. Again, you don't have to subscribe to AI to see everything on this dashboard. The only thing you're not going to see is the buying signal if you don't have AI. So now on to our second section, templates. Obviously,
Tom,
go ahead, Brent.
Before you move on, we have a couple of questions on segments.
Go for it.
The first one is there a limit to the number of segments I can create? And then the second question from the same person is, who will work with us to suggest the segments?
So we start you off with something internally we call the golden instance. And now I'm getting techie, but it's roughly 40 or so segments that are pretty common in most dealerships. You have no limitation on how many segments you want to create. You can create as many of them as you want, and you would work with the account manager to help build those. They're going to be the ones that actually do the heavy lifting and put that information into AMP for you.
Perfect. And then one more question. If more than one dealer has the same customer, do we all get, I need to stretch this out because it hides it. Do we all get the notice? Do all the dealers get the notice if they share the same customer?
Not exactly, because each system is going to be figuring out where that customer is in the buying cycle. So if you subscribe to Automotive Intelligence, yes, you'll be getting a notice that a customer is browsing a Cox Automotive website, and it might not be your own. It might be a competitor. It might not be a brand that you support. So AI will let you know if that customer is in the market or not. If you have AMP, you're going to attempt to market to that person, and I'll show you something about that in a second. So hopefully that answers your question. If it doesn't, I can reach out and add a little bit of clarity on a one-on-one basis on that one.
Perfect. Thank you.
So here's a few examples of our templates, and you can see, I think they're pretty good looking. Here's a few more. Notice the OEM color schemes, fonts, and a lot of these photos are stock images provided by the OEM. They are shrunk to fit on these slides. The normal size is optimized for mobile viewing, so they're very tall and skinny. So I do apologize that they're a little bit on the difficult side to read on the screen. But you can see great looking creative. And I just thought this would be a good time to remind you again what some of you might be sending to your customers and kind of compare the two. Don't forget to click the containers. So the last segment or section of AMP that I'm going to get into is campaigns. And this is the really nerdy part of it. These campaigns are visualized by what we call the decision tree. Compare these to the processes, sales and service processes that are in the CRM. They're similar, but you can see this is a very basic decision tree within AMP for lease end of term in 3 months. So up here at the top sits the segment that customer has fallen into. And then throughout the decision tree, you program a series of if this, then that statements. And it rolls through these statements and it gets down here to the bottom and it says, if the customer clicked that email, I'm going to fire off a task, in this case for the BD agent. So just giving you a little bit of a taste of these decision trees, some of them can get so large that they take up several slides. So I really wanted to just show you what these things look like, and you can see how specific they get. You can really program in all sorts of decisions and communications. This is what makes our follow-up more intelligent. You can control the frequency and the task levels through that account manager that I talked about. So if the system seems like it's firing too many tasks for your user, you have a conversation with that account manager and they can dial that back by adjusting some of these pieces of this decision tree. We also do ad hoc campaigns. So if you've got something special happening at your dealership this month and you want to get that information out to everybody, we'll create a specific segment for those customers, and we'll create a template to go along with that and get that message out to all your customers. So within campaigns, we have something called automated offers, and this is something that you can program into that decision tree when you want that to happen. So think of automated offers as the system desking a deal for you. And I know that can sound a little bit crazy, and a lot of you like to have a little bit more control over that, but it's for marketing purposes. So I don't want to say it's very general, it can be very specific. The system will actually go in and pick a car for you. There is a new engine that's powering that that will literally select the right car for the right customer from your inventory. So these automated offers can go out as part of an event in the campaign, or they can go out on demand by a user in the CRM. So AMP will even recommend the best match from your current inventory, as well as personalized payments using equity and current incentive data. Don't worry, dealers do have control over the various deal parameters. That's built into the system. Here's the on-demand generate offer screen that you would see. And anybody with Target Pro Plus should be familiar with the generate offer button. You can find it in the CRM under the customer dashboard. on the service appointment dashboard, and also when you compose an email in the CRM, you'll see a button that says generate offer. Now that's with people that have Target Pro Plus. So with AMP, you get the same button, but it's got new features built in. So here's automated offers. This is literally one-click desking. It can generate a replacement offer on a new vehicle, given nothing more than a customer's name. The system looks at owned vehicles, sold and serviced, and browsing history to make a suitable replacement vehicle recommendation using including cross-make recommendations. So to explain that a little bit more, for instance, you're a Toyota dealer and AMP sees you browsing for a Honda Accord on another dealer's website. It can automatically offer you up something similar like a Toyota Camry. Or another, for instance, is you're a customer and you've leased 3 Honda CR-Vs in a row, but you're browsing websites and gathering information for a larger Honda Pilot. Most other systems would serve you up another Honda CR-V offer, but our system is intelligent and it goes in and it sees that you're looking at something different and it's going to offer you up something on a Honda Pilot. Here are some examples of what the automated offers look like. Again, either this is sent through the CRM as part of, sent through AMP as part of an event that's programmed, or a user can go in and a customer walks in the door and says, give me a price on that car out there. I can literally one-click desk a deal for that customer. You have control over the parameters, but it's a quick way to get a nice marketing piece out to a customer, one click of a button.
We have a question, Tom.
Sure.
Does your program pull DMS data daily? For example, service records, loan terms, potential equity, that kind of thing?
Yes, it does.
Perfect. Thank you.
So back to the Plinko slide. I mentioned this was a way to visualize what's happening in AMP. So your customer is the Plinko chip up here at the top. And your segments are all of the slots that the customer can land in. And as you drop your customer on the Plinko board, they hit all of these different posts. And this is the decision tree. This is the if then this, or if this then that statements that the system is asking that customer as they go all the way down that board and then they land in a segment. They always get a different individualized message every month, and they never get the same message. Again, just a way to visualize what's happening. So all that techie stuff I just went over, you don't really have to worry about that. You're assigned a dedicated account manager who handles all of that for you. Here's our marketing services strategy. We hired experienced marketing professionals specifically for AMP, and they have marketing backgrounds. Every month, they'll schedule a meeting with the dealership to review AMP performance. The account manager is responsible for reviewing workflows, segments, and templates. That was one of the questions that we had. And they also schedule the actual launch of all of your campaigns. On those monthly calls, they'll review with you the performance of those campaigns and help you interpret the results. They'll look for opportunities to reach more customers, and they'll look for ways to improve the open rates and engagement by modifying templates and segments. Finally, they strategize with you for what next month's marketing efforts are going to be. How are we doing? Any more questions, Brent?
None at this time.
Great. So here's performance and reporting. What's the ROI on my investment? Well, we put a lot of thought into this, and let's face it, marketing is not an exact science. You hope to influence your customer enough so that the results pay for the dollars spent marketing. But it's really hard to put an exact figure on those results. This has been an area in VinSolutions in the past that our campaign reporting really didn't excel at. So we addressed that and we built a very flexible marketing dashboard. So here's the AMP marketing dashboard. This is where you can stay involved with week-to-week and month-to-month progress. Each panel that you see on here is clickable and drillable for more detail. I blew up a couple of those panels just so you could get a closer view of them. This dashboard has all the same filters that our normal insights reporting tool has. This is where you can find open rates, opt-out rates, sales activities around these campaigns, and most importantly, sales units and gross influenced by your marketing. Here's an example of the details that you can drill into from any panel on that AMP dashboard. Here you'll find the metrics and performance stats from each one of your campaigns. Again, I blew that up just so you could get a closer view of the metrics. This is real live data from this month from a live account. Notice 7,600 customers marketed to in this one campaign and only 9 customers unsubscribed. Few other items worth mentioning. AMP is now GM IMR turnkey approved. And if you're currently on Target Pro Plus, this is a really good upgrade to consider. Let's talk about the future of AMP for a minute. In addition to all the features that I've mentioned and gone over, here's what you can expect from AMP in the very near future. We're adding additional marketing channels to AMP like Facebook, direct mail, and text message marketing. We're also working on some unique integrations with dealer.com websites. And my favorite, the ability to market to your OEM manifest lists. Question we get as performance managers all the time. That concludes my presentation. Hope you have a better idea of what AMP can provide. And we're going to open it up for some questions.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Hey, I'm an old parts manager, and you had me sold, so this is good information. I do have a hand up. If you have a question, please enter your question in the question pane or in the question window, and we can get that answered for you. So at this time, if you would like to enter any questions, please do so. I'll wait for a few minutes to see if we can get all the questions in. In the meantime, we do have some questions, some frequently asked questions that I'd like to throw in there just so we're not listening to dead air. And I'm sure you can answer these because you're a very smart individual, Tom. I'm just saying that. I don't know you really. So as a dealer, do I have access to the back-end tool?
So you can get access to the back-end tool if you want. You can speak to your account manager. Everything that I went over there on the back end of it is takes a little bit of time to get used to. So this is managed services. We want to do this for you, but if you really want to get in there, we can give you access to the back end of AMP, or you can just let us handle it all.
Perfect. We have another question. I'm going to rephrase this a little bit because I'm not sure. I think I've got it down in my head, but how will AMP benefit my traffic?
How will AMP benefit your traffic? Well, AMP is really targeting customers in your database that aren't necessarily traffic yet. We're really looking for those lost leads and sold leads and trying to bring those people back to life. So yes, it is going to market to all of your customers, and it's going to try to deliver a really specific marketing message to all of your customers. And I think in the end, it is going to drive traffic. That marketing dashboard that I showed you, you literally can see how many showroom visits you had in a particular time frame. Let me show you that. Where is it? Here it is. So on this marketing dashboard, you literally can see how many showroom visits you had that were customers that received an AMP marketing message. So it's here. You can actually drill into who those customers are, and there's all kinds of filters that you can add to this report. If you want to peel back the layers and you want to say, okay, I sent out an AMP message last week, I want to see how many customers came in just for this week. Or you can say, I sent out an AMP message this month, how many customers came in this month. You have control over what those time frames are that we're actually, claiming responsibility for that showroom visit. So yes, I do think it will drive traffic.
Perfect. Same person asked, is there an additional cost to use this tool?
Yes, AMP is in addition to the normal CRM. It is going to be a Cox Automotive tool for our dealers to purchase, and the price is roughly $2,500.
Perfect. Answered all the questions. We've had a couple of questions asking if this will be available, if either the slide deck or the video will be available. Yes, it will be. There will be an email sent out within 24 hours to all the attendees. So if you registered, if you showed up, even if it was, of course, you're not here at this point, but even if it was for a short period of time, we'll send this out to you. Is the current follow-up process suspended when a client is captured in an AMP process, or do they run concurrently?
They're going to run concurrently. So the CRM is doing CRM follow-up on mostly active leads, whereas AMP is really digging for a different type of customer. It's marketing. So even though there's two processes going on at the same time, you have control over what that process is going to be. So you literally can say that, that customer has to open that email 3 times before I want a salesperson to reach out to them. You have control over that. And if that's what it's doing, if it's involving your sales staff and telling them, hey, you should reach out to this person, we think it's acceptable that the two processes are running at the same time.
Perfect. Great answer. Let's see, I've got Ernest with his hand up. If you have a question or a comment, Ernest, if you'd put that in the questions window, we can get to it. To open everybody's mics for questions would just be chaos. So we tend not to be able to do that. The next question, can I launch my own campaigns?
You can help construct your own campaigns. So we'll give you access, if you want it, to the back end. You can build out those campaigns yourself, but the actual launching, clicking the button and sending that out to your customers, we're going to leave that up to the account manager.
Perfect. Next question, how is AMP better than TPP? I hope you know what TPP is.
I think I do. That's an acronym for Target Pro Plus. So AMP is the evolution, but it is a completely different animal. So this is the newest version of marketing that we offer. Well, how's it different? Target Pro Plus, number one, doesn't have intelligent workflows and doesn't tell you when a customer is on your website looking at anything. The Target Pro Plus team focuses basically on 10 individual campaigns a month. You just don't have the same level of visibility that you have in AMP, the same flexibility. The reporting is 100% better in AMP. It's just a very, very flexible tool. And we really wanted to improve in every way possible over what we had offered in the past.
Perfect. Thank you. Great answer on that one. Comment. We are currently signed up and looking forward to hitting it out of the park. That comes from Rick. Thank you, Rick. Appreciate that. Here's the next question. With the limited amount of cars and trucks out there, what's a good key to get that across to your clients without pushing them somewhere else?
That's a really good question. And I've talked to a lot of my own dealers about AMP. There's a couple different ways to look at it. Is now the best time to jump into something like this? I know it is difficult without that inventory, but I think good quality communication with your customers doesn't just have to happen, you know, when you've got a lot full of cars. You've got other departments that you can be marketing. You've got parts, you've got service, and this will market for the entire department. I mentioned that the customer doesn't ever get the same marketing message twice. It's because the system goes in and you help program this with the account manager, but you can literally say, okay, they got an equity offer last month, so I'm going to pause 3 months before I send them another equity offer. And next month, I'm going to send them a service offer. And the month after that, I'm going to send them a brand awareness offer. So that's all programmed in there. So it really becomes a communication channel between you and your customers. And just because you don't have inventory doesn't mean you want to just cut that communication off altogether. But I think working with your account manager, you could find a good balance there of you know, talking about what you've got in stock. A lot of dealers have really increased their used car inventory, so that's always another angle that we could focus on. Hopefully that answers a little bit of the question.
Okay, if not, if you would go ahead and just put a follow-up in the questions pane, I'd appreciate it. That was a good answer. The next question is, if a previously cold lead comes back into the market and is engaged with a salesperson, does AMP know to suppress a regularly scheduled automatic marketing message?
The answer on that one is yes. The short answer is yes.
Okay. I don't, that's a good one. I guess if you want to know more, then reach out. So the client already has VinSolutions. They're asking how much is it to add on or to upgrade to this platform?
I think the best thing here would be to reach out to your performance manager, tell them that you're interested, and we'll get you in touch with the sales team. But it's roughly around $2,500.
Okay, thank you. Next question, does your product automatically calculate loan and lease payments on our current inventory and email customer database with options if they can lower or keep the same payment?
Short answer on that one is yes. It will offer up a loan payment. It'll offer up a lease payment. It'll pick that particular vehicle that it thinks would be a good offer, and it calculates everything automatically, completely automated.
Perfect, perfect. And the next question, how do I see what campaigns were sent to the customer?
So again, on this marketing dashboard that I've got up on my screen, if you were to click into one of these screens, it would bring you into a detailed report, and you could actually see literally all of the campaigns that ran in that particular time frame. So you would be able to see what they are, see what their performance was, and that's really what the account manager is going to do with you. They're going to study that information and say, you know, this one right here didn't perform that well. What could we do? Maybe we turn that segment off for a month, or maybe we adjust the template, the subject line. We put some new creative in there to try to see if it improves. But that's what we really have that expert there to help you through that and to help you understand what you're actually what your results are from the marketing. But yes, the AMP dashboard is where you would see all of your different campaigns. You can also see those listed in the back end tool of AMP, and I did have another screenshot in here that actually showed you that. If I can find it. There it is. So here are your segments. Remember when we were talking about the 3 major areas that make up AMP? And this is actually, you know, this is just one screenshot. This goes on for several pages. And here are all your different segments that we're going to be campaigning to.
Perfect. Thank you. From Sheila, who asked the questions, how much was the upgrade because they already have VinSolutions. She also asks, our GM is considering buying an addressable list and have messages targeted to them. Do you agree this is a better way? She thinks it is. Would that be
Well, I
something
guess
to talk?
there's different opinions on that. If you don't have AMP, there are positives to emailing customers outside of your CRM, and taking one of those lists and using something like Constant Contact or MailChimp to send out an quote unquote email blast to those customers. One of the benefits is if somebody unsubscribes, you're not losing the ability to communicate with that customer in the CRM. But the flip side of that is your CRM is that's where you want to collect all of your data. So marketing from your CRM, even if it's with Target Pro Plus, you still have the ability to be alerted when that customer opens that email. You can still see the open rates and the click-through rates of any email just using Target Pro Plus or even our basic campaign tool. So depending on what you're looking to accomplish and the type of message that you're sending out, there's pluses and minuses of doing it both ways.
Okay, she added some clarification to that after. She's saying the GM is considering buying the addressable list. She thinks that AMP is a better way to handle that than the other. So I think she's just stating this looks like a better process, which we would agree with. Okay.
Yes.
The next question, does the campaign info show the customer dashboard for sales associates to view, including the assets sent, etc.?
So you could give salespeople access to the AMP dashboard so they could see the campaigns. But on every single, let me find that slide here. On every single customer dashboard, sorry, bear with me. On a customer dashboard, you're going to see this task at the top, the AMP task. You'll also see that in your task list. But when you click on this, it actually shows you the piece of creative that was emailed to that customer. So you can see exactly what they saw and see what they clicked on. Does that answer that one?
Answers it for me. I guess Bruce will let us know if it didn't answer it for him. So we'll hold on here a couple more moments. I don't have any more questions at the moment, but we'll hang out for a minute or two just to see if we have anybody else roll in. Great participation. We appreciate your participation. The more questions we get, the better it helps us create events like this in the future and address questions. So we do appreciate that very much.
And I'm more than welcome to answer any questions for dealers. You can see my email address and mobile number right there. Or your performance manager should be able to also guide you in the right direction.
Perfect. I don't see anything else coming in. So we will end this broadcast. From all of us at Cox Automotive, we appreciate your partnership and we appreciate your business. We hope that we are beneficial to you. And with that, we'll bid you a good day. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.